Walk home. That was the entire text my father sent me. I was standing beside an airline kiosk at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, staring at a screen that had just informed me my reservation no longer existed. The agent checked twice. "I'm sorry, the ticket was canceled online less than an hour ago." "By whom?" "The person who booked it." I already knew the answer. My father, Russell Bennett, had dropped me at another entrance 20 minutes earlier. He had smiled, told me he would see me inside, and driven away like nothing was wrong. I called him. No answer. My mother. Nothing. My brother Mason. Voicemail. My sister Lauren. Nothing. Then his text appeared. Walk home. I stared at it. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I suddenly understood what he expected me to do. Panic. Buy another ticket. Apologize. And somehow still pay for the family vacation he had just tried to keep me from attending. I typed 3 words. You sure? I sent them. 5 minutes later, the family SUV came racing back toward the terminal. Too late. By then, I was already sitting in the back of a rideshare, watching my father's name flash across my phone again and again. 11 calls. I ignored every one. Instead, I opened the vacation booking app. The Carmel rental house was under my account. The 7-seat SUV was under my account. The prepaid coastal tour was under my account. All 3 had been arranged and paid for by me. I canceled the house while it was still refundable. Then the SUV. The tour could not be refunded, but it could be converted into credit. I moved that credit back into my own travel balance. I didn't touch their airline tickets. I didn't take anyone's money. I didn't sabotage the vacation. I simply stopped providing reservations I had personally paid for. Then I called my Aunt Colleen Mercer. She answered on the second ring. "Did Russell cancel your ticket because you refused to guarantee that expansion loan?" I stopped breathing for a second. That was when I knew the airport stunt hadn't been spontaneous. 2 weeks earlier, my father had asked me to co-sign a high-interest business loan. Russell owned a commercial sign installation company near Tacoma. He wanted a new fabrication machine and another service truck. I had reviewed the proposal. The monthly payment was larger than my mortgage. His company's cash flow was uneven. The lender wanted my income because his books could not comfortably support the debt. I said no. Not because I didn't love my father. Because I understood exactly what would happen if the business had one bad quarter. The debt would become mine. Russell hadn't accepted that. "You're doing very well," he'd told me. "That doesn't make this safe. Your family." I know. Then act like it. I had looked at him across the kitchen table. He wasn't asking for help anymore. He believed family meant I was obligated to say yes. So I said no again. He leaned back. Fine. Apparently, fine meant he was going to punish me. My name is Meredith Bennett. I'm 35, and I work as a senior risk analyst for a marine insurance firm in Seattle. My job is to identify expensive problems before they become disasters. For years, I had done the same thing for my family. quietly. I paid part of my younger sister Lauren's respiratory therapy tuition directly to her college. I covered the monthly payment on the box truck used by my father's installation crews. When my parents fell behind on property taxes, I helped negotiate an installment arrangement with Pierce County and paid the first several installments myself. My younger brother Mason wanted to start a mobile bicycle repair business. I placed a refundable deposit on specialized tools, portable batteries, and a compact service van. Nobody called these things obligations. They called them help. And I was fine with that. Until help became expected. The Monterey trip was supposed to be different. My mother, Diane, was turning 60. The family promised it would be a real celebration. No business arguments. No money problems. Just a few days together. I paid for most of the rental house, the destination vehicle, and several activities. My father purchased the airline tickets through a family booking so we could sit together. I reimbursed him for my seat the same day. I thought everything was settled. Then I refused the loan. And suddenly, my place on the trip became conditional. Colleen listened while I explained what happened. Then she exhaled. Russell told me you needed to remember who helped you get where you are. I said nothing. He thinks you're becoming arrogant because you question his decisions. Did he tell you about the airport? Yes. When? 2 days before the trip. My hand tightened around the phone. What exactly did he say? He said you needed to be humbled. I closed my eyes. Anything else? He expected you to panic. He thought you'd buy another ticket. And then? He said you'd come around. There it was. The family formula. Hurt Meredith. Wait. Meredith fixes everything. I opened my banking app while Colleen was still talking. The tuition transfer scheduled for the following month was voluntary. I canceled it. The automatic payment for the company truck was voluntary. I stopped it. The future property tax contributions were gifts. I removed them. Mason's equipment deposit was refundable, and mine. I requested its return. I left completed payments alone. I left accounts that weren't mine alone. I didn't demand anything back. I simply stopped. Then I saved screenshots of the canceled airline reservation, my reimbursement receipt, and Russell's message. I forwarded copies to an email folder and to Colleen. A few minutes later, my father left a voicemail. His voice had lost the confidence from his text. Meredith, this was supposed to make you less controlling. You always act like paying for something means you run the family. Restore the reservations and we can talk when you get here. My mother's message arrived 1 minute later. She didn't ask where I was. She didn't ask if I was safe. She asked me to restore the rental house before their flight departed. I replied once. No. They boarded anyway. Russell apparently believed he could replace everything after landing. He couldn't. Short-notice lodging in Carmel cost several times what I had paid months earlier. The available rental vehicles were either too small or priced far beyond what he wanted to spend. They stayed one night at an airport hotel near San Jose. They argued through dinner, then flew back to Washington the next morning. When they landed, Russell sent a family group message saying I had ruined Diane's birthday because of an emotional outburst over a harmless joke. I didn't answer. I watched their flight status change to arrived. Then I closed the app. I thought the airport incident was over. I was wrong. 3 days later, Lauren sent me a screenshot from her college portal. The final tuition installment for her respiratory therapy program had not been received. You must have entered the wrong date. Can you fix it today? Registration closes Friday. There was no greeting. No mention of the airport. I typed, I didn't enter the wrong date. She called immediately. You can't do this. I looked at the screen. I can. My graduation could be delayed. I know. Then fix it. I took a breath. Lauren, did you know Dad canceled my ticket on purpose? Silence. Then, quietly. Yes. My stomach tightened. Before the trip? Yes. And you still went? I thought he'd calm down. That isn't what I asked. She began crying. I needed the tuition. That was the first moment I understood how much bigger this was than one canceled ticket. They hadn't expected me to leave. They had expected me to be hurt, useful, and forgiving. And they had already decided my money would still be there when I came back. Lauren called immediately. You can't do this. I can. My graduation could be delayed. I know. Then fix it. I had already gathered information about financial aid, emergency grants, hospital sponsorships, scholarships, and a payment plan. I sent everything to her. These applications take time, she said. Yes. I don't have time. I know. Then why won't you pay? Because that was the real question. Why won't you keep doing what you've always done? I answered carefully. Because you knew Dad canceled my ticket on purpose. I didn't cancel it. I know, but you knew. She began crying. I thought he'd calm down. You still went. I needed the tuition. That hurt because it was honest. She had chosen silence because she was afraid of losing what my money provided. I told her I would help her find options, but I wouldn't resume the payment. She called it conditional love. I told her love could be unconditional, while financial support still had boundaries. She hung up. I sat alone afterward, feeling guilty. Setting a boundary didn't make me feel powerful. It made me feel cruel. For years, I had measured my goodness by how quickly I solved someone else's problem. Now I was learning that guilt could survive, even when the decision was right. Mason called that afternoon. You destroyed my business. No. You pulled the deposit. It was my deposit. You promised to help me launch. I promised to help you get started. Same thing. No. He laughed. Dad was right. You're using money to control everyone. I don't own your business. You were financing it. I was helping. You don't get to quit now. You haven't signed a partnership agreement with me. Silence. I don't own your company. I don't control your customers. I haven't contacted your suppliers. But you stopped the money. Yes. That means you want me to fail. No. I said it slowly. It means your business has to be yours. He hung up. The supplier released the reserved van and equipment when Mason couldn't produce the remaining funds. Instead of reducing the launch, he posted that a jealous relative had destroyed his business dream. He didn't name me. He didn't have to. Then my father called. Restore the truck payment. No. The company could lose the truck. The truck belongs to the company. You've been making the payment. I know. Then continue. You canceled my flight because I refused to guarantee your loan. That has nothing to do with this. It has everything to do with it. You're punishing the family. No, I'm stopping. Stopping what? Being the emergency fund. His voice hardened. You've changed. Maybe. You're selfish. Maybe, but I'm not signing a loan I can't safely afford. He hung up. My mother called Colleen. Colleen called me. She wants me to make you reasonable. What did she say? That your father made a stupid joke. It wasn't a joke. I know. She knew. Colleen paused. She knew there would be a lesson. That word stayed with me. A lesson. They had planned humiliation, as if I were a child who needed correcting. My father had decided my refusal was disobedience. My mother had decided I needed to feel dependent. My siblings had decided my forgiveness was inevitable. Then the relatives started calling. A cousin asked why I had exploded over a canceled flight. An uncle said family disagreements shouldn't interfere with Lauren's education. Someone claimed I had canceled Diane's birthday trip without warning. Colleen sent screenshots from a family chat I wasn't part of. Russell had written that I suffered an emotional outburst and was now using money to control everyone. Diane said she feared I wasn't myself. Mason claimed I had sabotaged his future. Lauren didn't correct any of them. I almost answered. Instead, I opened a blank document. At the top, I wrote, Timeline. Airport cancellation. My reimbursement. Russell's message. Carmel reservation. Vehicle. Tour credit. Loan. Tuition. Truck. Property taxes. Mason's deposit. Then I attached the evidence. I didn't send it. I saved it. Because truth didn't need to scream. It needed to survive. That Friday, Russell sent a family message. Sunday dinner. We need to settle this. Then, everyone bring the relevant bills. I understood immediately. 4 emergencies. 1 table. He wasn't asking me to talk. He was creating a situation where saying no would make me look cruel. I replied, I'll attend. Then, Colleen comes too. He took nearly an hour to answer. Fine. Sunday afternoon, Colleen and I entered the waterfront restaurant in Tacoma. Russell had reserved a private room. Diane was there. Lauren. Mason. Several relatives. A stack of papers sat in the middle. Russell stood. Let's agree the airport lesson went too far. Lesson? A harmless attempt to teach respect. Nobody asked how I was. They put the tuition statement, supplier estimates, truck notice, and property tax schedule in front of me. 4 problems. One person expected to solve them. Russell leaned toward me. You've made your point. I took out my phone. Then let's start with what happened. I opened his message. Walk home. His face changed. Words spoken in anger shouldn't determine a family's future. When did you become angry? He didn't answer. You canceled the ticket before you dropped me off. Silence. You chose another entrance. Nothing. You left before I reached the kiosk. You're being dramatic. Colleen spoke. He told me about the plan 2 days before the trip. The room froze. Russell turned. Colleen. He told me Meredith needed to be humbled. She continued. He expected her to panic, buy another ticket, and continue paying. Russell said he had only been venting. Colleen shook her head. You were planning. Then my mother spoke. I knew. Everyone turned. Russell stared at her. Diane looked at me. I knew there would be a lesson. What kind of lesson? She swallowed. I wanted you to understand that you still needed us. My chest tightened. The airport finally made sense. The smile. The separate entrance. The certainty that I would come back. The humiliation had never been the point. Dependence was. My mother wiped her eyes. You've built a life where you don't need anyone. So you wanted me afraid. I wanted you to remember your family. Those aren't the same thing. She looked down. I know. She had watched me finance her birthday while helping Russell create a situation designed to make me afraid of losing the family. My father had planned the humiliation. My mother had approved it. My siblings had stayed quiet because they believed my forgiveness was inevitable. I looked at Lauren. You knew before the trip. Yes. And you still went. I needed the tuition. I nodded. That was honest. But understanding wasn't forgiveness. Mason spoke. I knew Dad wanted to teach you a lesson. You laughed. I thought it was a joke. You knew I was being excluded. Yes. You expected me to forgive everyone. He looked down. Yes. For years, I thought my family depended on me because life was difficult. Now I saw the other side. They depended on me because I made dependence easy. Whenever a problem appeared, I solved it. Whenever someone was short, I covered it. Whenever someone made a risky decision, I absorbed the consequences. I had trained everyone to believe my help would remain available even after they hurt me. That was partly my failure. It wasn't their excuse. Russell pushed Lauren's tuition statement toward me. She needs this. Her education became her responsibility when you decided humiliating me was an acceptable way to get compliance. You're making her pay for my mistake. No, she can apply for aid. She shouldn't have to. She shouldn't have been used as leverage either. His jaw tightened. You're using money to punish the family. I'm stopping voluntary payments. Same thing. No. I opened the folder. The first page listed every recurring contribution I was ending. Lauren's tuition. The company truck. Future property tax contributions. Mason's business support. No demand for repayment. No interest. Just an end. Russell stared. You're bluffing. No. You'll change your mind. No. You always do. That is why you thought this would work. His expression changed. Every conflict had ended the same way. I forgave. I paid. I returned. I made everyone comfortable. This time, I wasn't doing it. The dinner ended without reconciliation. Mason demanded reimbursement for expenses he had made preparing his business launch. You chose those expenses. I was counting on you. I never signed a partnership agreement. He said nothing. I never guaranteed your launch. Diane started crying. Nobody cares that this was supposed to be my birthday. I cared. I pointed toward the documents. I paid for most of it. Her face fell. Caring about you doesn't mean I have to accept this. Outside, Diane followed me. Meredith, please. She asked for a private conversation. I gave her 2 minutes. She said she missed me. She said the photographs weren't manipulation. She said Russell's pride had made everything worse. Then she asked, could you at least pay the next property tax installment? One more payment. One more exception. One more reason to reopen the old arrangement. I shook my head. No. I walked away with Colleen. That night, I stopped responding to anything that wasn't necessary. Russell tried using relatives. I didn't answer. Colleen refused to become his messenger. Then he changed tactics. He came to my workplace. My assistant told me my father was waiting downstairs. I went to the lobby. He held a leather folder. Inside were records of the payments I had made. Tuition. Truck. Taxes. Travel. Mason's deposit. He held them where employees could see. You want everyone here to know what kind of daughter you are? My stomach tightened. He had found the one place where humiliation could hurt me professionally. I looked toward security. Mr. Bennett isn't authorized to enter employee areas. The officer nodded. Russell lowered his voice. You're throwing your father out? No, I'm asking you to leave my workplace. You're going to regret this. I looked toward security. That sounds like a threat. He stopped. He saw the reception desk, the security officer, the employees, witnesses. He closed the folder. Fine. Then he smiled. Let's see how long you can keep pretending you're better than us. He left. My hands were shaking. Not because I wanted him back, because some part of me still wanted him to be proud of me. That was the part I hated. I returned upstairs and added one line to my timeline. Dad came to my workplace and used my financial support as public leverage. That evening, Colleen called. He's planning another dinner. Why? A replacement birthday celebration for Diane. Her birthday already happened. I know. What is he telling people? That you're coming to apologize. I closed my eyes. Did I agree? No. And he knows. Yes. He also says you'll restore the payments. I looked at the folder. He really believes that. He believes you always come around. A week later, I stood outside a rented banquet room with Colleen. Through the glass, I could see my parents, Lauren, Mason, and several relatives. Flowers. A cake. An entire celebration built around an apology I had never agreed to make. Colleen touched my arm. You ready? No. She smiled. Good. I opened the door. Russell saw me. There she is. He raised his glass. The daughter who finally came to her senses. People applauded. I stayed standing. Before dinner starts, I need to correct something. The room went silent. I have not apologized. Russell's smile vanished. I have not restored the payments. Nobody moved. And I never agreed to either. He stared at me. You came here to ruin another birthday? I held up the folder. No. I came because you told people I made promises I never made. Russell stared at the folder. What exactly do you think you're proving? The truth. I placed the airline cancellation on the table. Then the reimbursement. Then the message. Walk home. Then the timeline. One relative picked up the pages. You canceled her ticket? Russell said nothing. You expected her to buy another one? I was angry. Colleen shook her head. You planned it. Russell glared at her. You've always hated me. No. She looked at him. I've always known you. He looked away. I told the room I wasn't asking anyone to hate my father. I am asking everyone to stop pretending the airport was an accident. Russell recovered. You're choosing money over family. No. I looked around the room. I am choosing not to use money to buy my place in this family anymore. Lauren began crying. I knew. Russell turned toward her. She admitted she knew before the trip. She admitted she went anyway because she needed the tuition. Mason admitted he knew too. You laughed. I didn't think Dad would actually do it. You knew he wanted to. Yes. You benefited from staying quiet. Yes. That was the first honest thing he had said in months. Russell slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Nobody moved. You're all letting her manipulate you. I closed the folder. I am not asking anyone to choose sides. I looked at him. I'm choosing what I participate in. He looked at the final page. You're really ending everything? Yes. Lauren? She will find another way. Mason? He will build his business himself. Your mother? She will work with the county. You think everyone becomes independent because you stop paying? No. I think independence begins when people stop assuming someone else will absorb the consequences. He stared at me. And you? I'll finally learn what my money feels like when it isn't already promised to someone else. For the first time, he looked afraid. Then he said, "If you walk away tonight, you're no longer my daughter." The room froze. My mother looked at him. "Russell." "Oh." He pointed toward the door. "She wants to make a choice. Let her." The old fear came back. For a moment, I wanted to apologize. Restore everything. Go back. Then I remembered the kiosk. The canceled ticket. My mother's confession. They had wanted me powerless. Now Russell was using belonging as his final weapon. I stood. "You've been using belonging as a threat since the airport." He stared. "It doesn't carry power anymore." I picked up my coat. "I am not choosing money over family." I looked at him. "You made me choose between family and respect." Nobody stopped me. Behind me, my mother called my name. "Meredith." I turned. "I never thought you'd actually leave." I looked at her. "I never thought you'd actually help him hurt me." Then I walked out. Colleen followed. In the parking lot, she asked, "You okay?" "No." "Good." I looked at her. She smiled. "You'd be worried if you didn't care." I laughed through my tears. The next morning, Russell said, "If you walk away tonight, don't expect to come back." Then, "You are choosing money over your family." I deleted both. The weeks afterward were harder than I expected. Not because I missed paying, because I missed being needed. I had spent years tracking deadlines, comparing loan terms, calling county offices, reviewing contracts, paying bills, finding scholarships, and reassuring people. When I stopped, they lost more than money. They lost the person who quietly managed their uncertainty. I had to learn to let uncertainty exist. Some relatives apologized. Others didn't. A few still believed Russell. I stopped defending myself one person at a time. I sent one factual statement. My airline ticket was deliberately canceled after I refused to guarantee a business loan. I ended voluntary payments from my own accounts. I took no assets. I interfered with no contracts. I would not discuss private finances further. Then I stopped talking. Life became quieter. I changed my budget, increased my emergency savings, paid down a small credit balance, booked weekends away. I stopped apologizing before saying no. I stopped explaining after saying no. And slowly, no stopped feeling cruel. It became an answer. Then, 4 months after the airport incident, my apartment intercom rang. "Your father is outside." I didn't go downstairs. I used the intercom. "The family has suffered enough," Russell said. He described the truck, taxes, tuition, and business. He called the consequences punishment. I asked one question. "Knowing what it cost you, would you cancel my ticket again?" Silence. "I would handle it differently." "That isn't what I asked." He invited me to dinner. I refused. "You may regret having nobody when you need help." I looked around my apartment. I'd rather need support than accept disrespect. I told him not to return. Building management approached him. He left. The next week, I changed my emergency contact from Diane to Colleen. I updated my estate documents, removed informal family authorizations, checked every account. Then I wrote one final notice. No personal visits. No calls. No social media contact. No relatives carrying demands. Necessary administrative matters through one email address. I sent it. Then I closed my laptop. For the first time, I felt completely alone. And strangely, completely free. The consequences weren't dramatic. Nobody collapsed. Nobody lost everything. Life simply became less comfortable. Russell returned the company truck. He rented equipment only when a job justified it. He declined distant installations. He laid off one seasonal worker rather than expanding. Most importantly, he abandoned the high-interest loan. The company survived. Smaller. More realistic. But alive. Diane increased her hours at the optometry office. My parents sold a recreational trailer. They postponed a kitchen renovation. They stopped eating out. They canceled subscriptions. Their hardship wasn't poverty. It was the discomfort of living within their actual income after years of quiet contributions. I hadn't destroyed them. I had stopped absorbing their expenses. Lauren took student aid. She worked weekends. Her graduation was delayed one semester. She completed the respiratory therapy program. She sent me a graduation announcement. I didn't attend. That decision hurt. I wanted to be there. But I couldn't let my attendance become another bargaining chip. Later, she told Colleen that she had learned to ask for help without assuming it was owed. That mattered. Mason spent months working at a sporting goods store. Then he began weekend repairs with rented tools and a borrowed cargo trailer. It wasn't his original business plan. It was smaller, slower. But it was his. He stopped mentioning my money. We still weren't close. Maybe we wouldn't be for a long time. But his future no longer depended on my forgiveness. My mother changed more slowly. For months, she sent photographs. Christmas mornings. Birthdays. Beach trips. Old vacations. She never wrote, "We were wrong." She sent memories. I understood what she wanted. The old emotional door. But nostalgia wasn't accountability. So I didn't respond. Then one afternoon, she called. "I want to apologize." I waited. For the airport. Silence. For knowing. Her voice broke. "I thought I was protecting the family. You were protecting the way things had always been." "Yes. I wanted you to need me." "I know. Do you think we can ever be okay?" "Yes." She breathed out. "But not the way we were." "What does that mean?" "You can be my mother without managing me." She cried. "I think I can learn." "I hope so." We talked for 20 minutes. No bills, no requests, no guilt. Just two people trying to understand what was left after the old arrangement disappeared. It didn't erase what happened, but it gave us something new. A relationship where love wasn't exchanged for compliance. My father was different. He never gave me the apology I wanted. Once he said he would handle things differently. He never said, I was wrong. I stopped waiting. Peace couldn't depend on words he might never give me. It had to depend on the boundary I could control. So I never restored the payments. I never returned to the old Sunday dinners. I never answered requests disguised as apologies. And I never again allowed my family to assume my salary was invisible family property. Colleen remained in my life. She never asked me to forgive. Never told me to choose family. Never carried Russell's messages. One afternoon, over coffee, she asked, "Do you regret canceling the reservations?" "No." "Do you regret leaving?" "Sometimes." She nodded. "But not because you think you were wrong." "No." "Because you wish it hadn't taken this much pain." "Yes." She smiled. "That is different." It was. I didn't regret learning the truth. I regretted that the truth had required pain. Then Lauren called. "I don't want anything from you." I laughed softly. "That sounds serious." "I mean it." She took a breath. "I used to think you helping me meant you loved me." I said nothing. "Now I think you loving me means you can tell me no and still love me." My throat tightened. That's what I've been trying to learn too. We talked for nearly an hour. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Later, Mason sent me a picture of a small sign for his mobile repair business. The lettering was crooked. The trailer was old. The tools were used. But the business was his. His message said, "You were right. I needed to build this myself." I replied, "I never wanted you to fail." He answered, "I know that now." That was enough. Not reconciliation. Not yet. But enough. My father eventually sent a message. "Your mother misses you." Then, "I think you owe her a visit." I stared at it. Even now, he couldn't simply say, "I miss you." He needed someone else to be the reason. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my calendar. For the first time in years, there was an empty weekend. No tuition deadline. No truck payment. No tax installment. No business emergency. Just an empty weekend. I booked a small hotel on the Monterey coast. One room. One ticket. No family. No explanation. The last time I planned a trip, my father canceled my ticket and told me to walk home. This time, nobody could cancel anything. Because I was paying for it. And because I wasn't asking permission. I arrived in Monterey on a Friday afternoon. The hotel was smaller than the house I had booked for my family. There was no luxury SUV. No 7-person itinerary. No one asking what time dinner was. Just a small room overlooking the water. I put my suitcase down and stood by the window. The ocean looked like the kind of place I had imagined when I planned the family trip. Only now, I was alone. And for the first time, alone didn't feel like punishment. It felt like choice. That evening, I walked along the coast. The wind was cold. The sky was fading. I thought about the airport, the kiosk, the canceled ticket, the text. Walk home. At the time, those words had felt like humiliation. Now they felt like a dividing line. Before them, I had been the person everyone could count on. After them, I became the person who finally asked what being counted on was costing her. My father believed canceling one ticket would remind me that I needed my family. Instead, it showed me exactly what my family needed from me. Money, labor, problem solving, silence, forgiveness, and certainty that I would always come back. I had thought the hardest part would be losing them. It wasn't. The hardest part was realizing how much of myself I had already lost trying to keep them comfortable. I had become the emergency fund. The researcher. The person who called the county. The person who compared loan terms. The person who reviewed contracts. The person who paid tuition. The person who made sure nobody had to feel the consequences of their own decisions. When I stopped, they didn't collapse. They adjusted. That told me something important. They had needed my convenience more than they had needed my presence. And I had needed their approval more than I wanted to admit. That was the real transaction. They got support. I got belonging. Until the day they tried to take both away. My phone buzzed. A message from Colleen. "Where are you?" I sent her a picture of the ocean. She replied, "Finally, somewhere nobody can tell you what you're supposed to do." I smiled, then put the phone away. Lauren eventually graduated. 1 semester late. She worked through it. Used student aid. Picked up weekend shifts. Finished the program. I didn't attend the ceremony. That still hurts. Not because I think I made the wrong decision. Because I wish things had been different. I wish she had told me the truth before the airport. I wish she had stood beside me. I wish I hadn't needed to choose between being her sister and protecting myself. But later, she told me she had learned to ask for help without assuming it was owed. When she had a problem, she asked whether I had the capacity to help. Sometimes I said yes. Sometimes no. She accepted both. That was the beginning of trust. Not the old kind. Something better. Something chosen. Mason's business grew slowly. The first version failed before it began. The second survived. He rented equipment, used a borrowed trailer, built a customer list, one repair at a time. It wasn't impressive. It didn't need to be. It was his. We still weren't close. Maybe we never would be. But I heard through Colleen that he was doing well. I was glad. From a distance. That was enough. My mother and I eventually spoke regularly. Not every day. Not like before. But regularly. She stopped asking for money. When she needed something, she asked. When I said no, she accepted it. One afternoon, she asked, "Do you think we'll ever be a family again?" I thought about it. We already are. She was quiet. But we're going to have to learn how to be one without using money to hold everyone together. She started crying. I think I can do that. I hope so. That was all I needed. My father was different. He still didn't apologize directly. I accepted that. Not because it didn't matter. Because I stopped waiting for it. Peace cannot depend on someone else finally giving you the words you deserved. You can acknowledge what happened without waiting forever for permission to move on. I never restored the payments. I never returned to the old Sunday dinners. I never answered requests disguised as apologies. And I never again allowed my family to assume my salary was invisible family property. I still helped people. I still gave. But now I chose. A gift was a gift. Help was help. And no one could turn either into a contract for obedience. When I returned home from Monterey, I placed my suitcase beside the door. Everything was exactly where I'd left it. Quiet. Safe. Mine. My phone wasn't filled with emergencies. My bank account wasn't already assigned to someone else's problem. My calendar wasn't built around other people's deadlines. I thought about how often I had confused access with love. How often I had believed being useful meant being valued. How often I had paid because saying no felt more painful than paying. Then I remembered the first message. Walk home. My father had meant, go back to where you belong. He thought home was the place he controlled. The place where my position depended on obedience. The place where love could be threatened. He was wrong. Home wasn't the place I was born. It wasn't the place where my family decided I belonged. Home was the place where I could close a door without being punished for it. The place where saying no didn't make me a bad daughter. The place where help was something I could offer freely. The place where nobody had access simply because they shared my last name. I looked out the window. The city was quiet below. No one was waiting for me to fix something. And I realized that wasn't loneliness. It was peace. My father had canceled one ticket because he thought it would make me come running back. He thought I'd panic. He thought I'd apologize. He thought I'd restore everything. He thought money was the rope that would always pull me home. He was wrong. I did walk home. Just not to the home he meant. I chose a home where love wasn't conditional. Where help was something I could give freely instead of something people could demand. Where saying no didn't make me a bad daughter. And where nobody had a key unless I handed it to them. That was the real lesson. Sometimes the hardest part of leaving isn't closing the door. It's realizing you were the only one holding it open.